Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Astrology and Beyond. Today, with your host Tatiana, also broadcasting for ANN. And today, I will bring you the astro weather for the first half of the month of October. And during this first half, we're going to have a lot happening in the sky. And we are preparing for a solar eclipse on October 14th. So I will not be covering fully the eclipse in this video because the eclipse itself will take a lot of time explanation. However, the preparation for the eclipse and the understanding of what this astro weather is bringing us is what we're going to dive deep into. So we are best prepared for these always squeezy portals of the eclipses. So eclipse season is on, and every time we have eclipse season, there is an opportunity for evolutionary pushes to step up to something new. And it's like this ever evolving spiral. So every time there's eclipse season, which is every 6 months, we have themes that evolve in our lives. So when we pay attention, we can really ride the waves and be the most successful. So let's dive into this. Where is my presentation? There we are. And pardon my slowness today. I am a little bit under the weather, and this has got me a little bit foggy. My brain is a bit foggy, and it's interesting because Mercury and Neptune is opposing Mercury in my natal chart as well. So I'm like, ooh, this applies to me. Anyway, so there is, as you can see, a lot of aspects and things going on in the sky. This is very technical, so not to worry about it. I like to always show a little bit of the overview. So if anybody is a student of astrology who wants to understand a little bit what's going on, this is my thought process. And let's dive into the important also things that are happening. Mercury will be entering Libra October 4th. So that changes a little bit of the dynamics of this very precise, detail-oriented Mercury into the need for conciliation. And there's going to be a lot to talk about regarding relationships. We will have also Venus entering Virgo. We had Venus for a few months in Leo, just going back and forth, and a very long transit through Leo. So now this energy is going to feel very different. So all these things are themes that will tint the energy of our month of October. Now, something really major this month is the direct motion of Pluto. So Pluto stationing direct October 10th. And this will be its last pass in 240 years through Capricorn and into a whole new era of social change and transformation and new things that could be like accelerating like crazy into next year. So this is very significant for these last demolishing ideas of old orders. And this is your choice, our collective choices that will impact how we're going to move forward into the new. Mars is also entering Scorpio, a very different energy. And finally, the solar eclipse in Libra, October 14th, which we will talk about in the next video. Let's dive deep in. So the Libra energy is very present, especially because Mercury will be entering Libra on the 4th. So we have the Sun in Libra, we have Mars in Libra, and we have the South Node. So South Node and Mars are conjunct in Libra. And whenever we have Mars in Libra, there is a need and a desire for conciliation. However, it can come with struggles. It can come with disagreements. This is where we see a little bit of power struggles, also because Mars will be squaring Pluto, or starting to square Pluto through this beginning of the month. And the nature of this energy is relational. So Venus, which is the ruler of Libra, we're going to be looking at Venus very closely and the Libra energy. Why? Because Libra is all about relationships. It's all about how we relate to each other, how we need each other, and how we are part of a social structure in a certain sense. It's not in the Aquarian sense, but in the Libra sense. It's like my needs versus your needs. What I desire and it's important to me versus what's good for us. So it's the me of the Aries versus the us of the Libra. So when we have Mars in Libra, there can be a few different things happening here, conjuncting the South Node, is that maybe certain relationship dynamics are really overdue. Basically, we need to look at what relationships we have, how we have dynamics in our relationships, and what are the things that no longer work in our relationships, and how we can move through harmonizing our relationships and improving them. And this could have many different ways of expressing itself. It could be a really, really thorough look at how we are relating to others, and also how we are putting ourselves and our needs and what's important to us in relationship to what's important to others. So this is the key of success of this transit. Otherwise, there could be a lot of me versus you, my needs versus your needs, and no resolution. However, the positive aspect of this is the capacity to resolve issues. So for instance, if there's lots of legal issues happening in your life right now, this is a good time, because the Libra energy really tries, and the aim of Libra is harmonizing, is harmony, is balance, it's justice. So with a lot of Libra energy, there is the capacity to be more in tune with the energy of justice. But again, how can we see the energy of justice when we are maybe too focused on ourselves and not seeing the other? So these are the things that may come up. And this is also sponsored by Venus, Juno, and we will see also Lilith at some point in this month. So little things to consider about this energy. Let's move on to okay, Venus sponsoring the Libra energy, the absolute need for finding more harmonious relationships. And what can we do about it? So first of all, with Venus squaring Uranus, the energy might be pulling towards desires for independence, conflicts between stability and the excitement of something new. We are looking for something. There might be a restlessness. Maybe your relationships are not satisfying to us. Or let's say if you're single, and this is in case of romantic relationships, if you're single, poof, you might have this draw to something really exciting and new. Suddenly a romance comes in, it happens, it inflames everything, and then poof, it goes away, it disappears. It was a passing, fleeting, exciting thing that could have also damaged something more stable. For instance, if you're in partnership, if you're on your own, maybe this is the time to go out and try new things. Get out and do something exciting, because that might bring people to your life. The difficulty with the square is the restlessness around having to do something out of boredom and without consideration or thought for the other person or people involved in your life. So beware. This is where, for instance, people can go and cheat on their partners because they're needing more freedom, and instead of finding ways to communicate what their needs are and why they're needing more excitement in their lives or a change, then they suddenly go and find the first thing, the one night stand, and the thing that all hell breaks loose. So this is what we need to be careful with, that because this energy can be pushing us. Again, this is sudden attractions or breakups. This is the energy for that. So the key word here is sudden, right? So when it's sudden, we might not necessarily be mindful of the consequences. So the urge here is to acknowledge where the need is, where your needs to be doing something different that really speaks of who you are right now and not who you were in the past. How that relates to a new direction, but doesn't necessarily disrupt too much the status quo, because this energy wants to really break it all. It is also linked to financial instability. This is a moment where we could see a lot of the collapses, a lot of, new new informations around Bitcoin and this and that and the financial system, and collapses here and there, people losing money, people not knowing how to manage their finances. Maybe they make a decision. This is not the right time to make rash decisions in investments. So if you are maybe like lured for like a magnificent opportunity that can make you rich really fast or something like that, this is not the time to fall into that, because we have also an opposition of Neptune to Mercury happening at the same time, which can cloud our judgment. So this is why in this weather of cloudy judgment, we might fall into delusions. We might fall into, again, the bright, shiny thing that promises some kind of freedom, but in the end, it's not really sustainable. So just look at things with a lot of discernment during this time. This is why this energy wants to free you up from something. However, do it methodically and with thought. There could be immense creative tensions as well. The creativity, and this is great for artists, because this is where you might try something completely different. And if it doesn't work out, whatever, but it might bring you to create or find a creative expression that is very unique, quirky, bizarre, maybe not very socially acceptable, but why not try it out, see what happens. Again, it might not be the right time. This is when maybe you have a great idea, it's a genius idea, but people are not ready. So again, if you have a great idea right now that you think is going to be revolutionary, that is really representing your self-expression, write it down, jot it down, work on it. Maybe not the time to launch it. Why? Because this might not be the time where it's going to be the best received by the entourage. It might even be critiqued heavily during this time. So if you have this urge for something new and different, keep it, mull over it. Don't jump so crazy. Wait until these transits pass and then make those decisions. So I would not be on the rash side of things. Just a word of caution. Again, rebellion in relationships. This is when I say white, you say black. I want this, I want that. It's not working out. We can't see eye to eye. This is why I put this image in here. We're together, but we can't see each other. We can't see eye to eye. Almost like someone's looking at one direction and somebody's looking at the other direction. It's just when things don't gel properly. And this can create immense tensions in relationships. Also, giving way to emotional turbulence, like upheaval or restlessness. And the overall, or the real meaning for these transits of Uranus to Venus is to truly connect to your values, to your priorities in life and relationships, and also to seek authenticity that can free you up from things that are old. Again, we're seeing in this combination of Mars and the South Node, how our actions and how we have people pleased or done things without authenticity, it's not going to bring us the right people around us. Like the poker face, the nice face, it's not going to work for us anymore. What works right now is being really authentic and seeking to be authentic, however, without throwing the baby with the bathwater. So that is a little bit of what's happening with Venus towards the beginning of the month. There is going to be a little bit more on Venus towards, let me see where I put my other Venus. I'm doing like themed with Venus, towards the October 8th. So again, this is all the first week. So all these aspects are part of what's going on in general. So you can take whatever you need to take, because Venus, the ruler of Libra, and Libra being a heavily energy this time, is having some serious challenges. So what are these challenges? So first of all, Venus, before it enters Virgo, it's still at those last degrees of Leo, is going to have a fit. This is what happens on the last degrees of a sign. There is this last boost of energy that says, this is really important. We need to look at this. We're about to change. What have we not addressed? We need to address it now. So Venus conjunct Juno conjunct Lilith in Leo. This can give us a very volatile energy, fiery energy, where again, it could fuel the fire for passion. And that is a very positive thing if we put it in the context of connecting to something that is truly meaningful to you. That is really important. However, if this passion or combustion is fueled by these restless urges and you jump into something that is not the right thing for you, this is where it can get very messy. So again, discernment. There can be immense need for recognition. This is where we also feel that last push of like, please see me. It can be rebellious. With Lilith, there is this kind of raw energy saying, please see me, this is who I am. And sometimes what that can bring is immense conflict with authority. Why? Because this is also this combo here of Venus in Leo is opposing Saturn. Ooh, and this is where we have a few different things that can happen. First, that we don't feel validated, and therefore we might feel that what we have to offer to the world is not good enough, and that we have to step up to something to seek an external validation. Therefore, with Venus, Saturn, we might feel that we really are not good enough. And we can also maybe cut ourselves from something that gives us true pleasure, because there is too much societal pressure. That could be one way of seeing it. We could feel emotionally restricted. Maybe again in our relationships, this is why this whole time speaks of my feeling that we are not ourselves, and something or a part of ourselves really wants to be seen and acknowledged. And when there is some kind of oppression from, it could be partners, it can be from bosses, it can be from anyone that's pooping on your party, on your expressive party, could make you feel that you're not valuable. And this is why this is a great time to face your hidden fears. This is the positive aspect of that. It's like when you're courageous enough to understand why you have not stepped up to be authentically yourself in all of your relationships, then this is where you can be really open and honest with yourself. And this is what creates enormous breakthroughs, an enormous capacity to reconnect, the reconnection in relationships. Usually before the breakthrough, there is a breakdown. So we could expect that the first 15 days of October will bring a lot of breakdown energy, dysfunction, things. So what to do about it? Okay, certain things that we can do to avoid chaos. And this is very interesting, and I'm very excited because here where I live, we're going to do a workshop on coping mechanisms. so we can all see each other eye to eye and precisely look into our hidden fears, so we can reconnect better. So this is, for example, what I would say a high level of getting these energies of relationality, where it can get ugly, messy, uncomfortable, and dive deep into transformation, and dive deep into the capacity to change yourself inside with brutal honesty. This is that time. This is the time when we can be brutally honest with who we are, so others can see us for who we truly are, not as the people pleasy, everything has to be so nice. I want to avoid conflict, because conflict will be there. This is not the time to avoid it. This is the time to face it and be very mature about it. This is also the part that Saturn plays in this uncomfortable opposition is, well, let's just be mature about it, right? If you have something to say, if you have something to stand up for that is really important for you, step up and follow through and be mature. This is the maturity that is kind of being wanting to be drawn with from us. What things can we see, like Christ, it's interesting because I heard yesterday something like there is now a call for not the Pride Day, but the Pride Month. And I don't have any particulars judgment around anything regarding sexual orientation or identity. I personally love everybody as they are. I am that person. I basically don't give it much attention, but I do know that other people may give this a lot of attention. There has been lots of tensions, especially, here in Canada, with with the school systems and the way they are addressing identity in children, allowing them to be whatever identity they choose, and then there's oppositions around that. So you see, this is very thematic of this is the climate we're living, and that can only escalate in these next few weeks, that there is all this discomfort with identity. And it's interesting because the other day I was filling out a form, and it asked me about how I identify myself, and there was a list of like, I don't know how many things, like 3 or 4 or 5 different sexual orientations. And now there's also this thing called a plus, like I am a plus. Like, it's become so interesting. And this is exactly a little bit the themes that could come up with these Venus, Lilith, Juno, opposition Saturn, square Uranus. Is this like, who am I? What's my identity? What are my values? Who am I? What gives me pleasure? What do I want to relate to? What do I want to create in my life that gives me my sense of pleasure and creativity and expression? And how can I be authentic in my relationship? So this is where a lot of confusion can come and disruptions. And ideally, a time to seek, I think, inner comfort. I always will point back to that, because out there it's a little bit of a jungle, and there can be lots of tensions around all these topics. So I think the best course of action is always to come back to yourself and to be, again, brutally honest with who you are, what's important to you, what do you value. Do not try and push these values onto others. Just express it as what you are, who you are, and what you need to be. This can bring conflicts with authority, indeed. People that will not agree with it and will try to shut you down and will try to put you down. But then how do you stand up for yourself and say, this is me, this is what's important, and do it with grace? You see, this is the challenge. Now, different things, and this is, again, I like to invite people to try things like nonviolent communication. This is a great time to engage in these kinds of activities where you can learn tools. So when you need to be in conflictive issues or relationships, you can find some more tools. And by the way, if you live in the area of Vancouver Island, I know a fabulous person who does a nonviolent communication, compassionate communication, who will be offering an amazing workshop in November in Vancouver Island around compassionate communication. So if you're interested in that, and this is something that can help you with your life, please, I'll leave information in the description box if that's something that you can be interested in, because I have done this course 3 times and I have learned so many tools. So that is something that I always recommend. Gather tools that will help you. And during this time where we definitely need this if we want to create a much more cohesive society, that we're really breaking away from those Saturnian, Capricornian, institutional old values in order to create the new system of values, which is what we're really trying to do with these energies, is to be very honest, but also very compassionate with one another and really try to reach the other side. This is the quintessential tension between the North Node in Aries and all this Libra energy that wants to tell us, how do you be you within the partnerships you're in, so you can create a more harmonious world. So again, seek tools. Other important things. Okay, I did not talk about a very important aspect, which we talked about last week, in last week's video, is that we have a very supportive energy from Mercury, Pluto, and Uranus, and the sextile to Neptune, which gives us the capacity to download a lot of creative ideas so we can transform literally our world. This is, and I'm not saying this lightly, this is where the gigantic energies of societal transformation are giving us through this, like Mercury, Uranus, Mercury, these downloads. Now, there can be so much, and this is why I put this image, because there can be mental confusion with the opposition of Mercury to Neptune. We can be overloaded with ideas, and then there can be so much that we can't process. There can be also delusions and illusions. So this is why it's so important at this time to be very discerning of all the information that comes through you. For example, if you're connected to try and channel some information that comes from within you, make sure you can discern what's important from what's not important. This is a time where there can also be communication challenges. Again, very important to harness some tools, because you might say something, a person doesn't understand it well, then this creates a whole level of confusion. So you're trying to basically maybe work on a project, doesn't work, poof. But this is also a time where we can bridge the gap between the ideal Neptunian realm of utopia into the more realistic thing. So this is where we can have a little bit of a reality check. And that can create a lot of tension, because you might be having these great ideas that everything's going to be unicorns and butterflies and rainbows. And well, some things in reality don't support it. Maybe, I don't know, you're dreaming of doing this great thing, but you don't have the financial capacity for whatever reason. So this is where you have to go and look, okay, what can I realistically do? You know, this is where pipe dreams can come into the mix. And it's okay to dream, but pipe dreams without a realistic way of achieving them are just pipe dreams. So bring the pipe dream a little bit closer to home, and that can definitely manifest. So what are more practical things you can be doing to do things that are more realistically here and now? This is a time where you can have also deep insights. And when communicating can be really transformative. This is because Mercury and Pluto in that trine can help us definitely create those breakthroughs through learning to communicate with each other in a different way. And again, the authenticity is the key piece. Authentic relating is another tool that you can use. If you know in your area where you can sign up for some kind of authentic relating workshop and gather those tools, this is the perfect time to do that. This is also a time where you can have the capacity to focus really intensely in a project or an idea. You can have those brilliant ideas that come through, and where there is an openness to change. With Uranus and Mercury and people that have this in their own natal charts, this is like the genius, you know, suddenly you have this genius idea, so you can be very mentally agile and focused and have this great insights. And this is the time where we can, for example, open up for channeling for those who like that, because this is a time where you can be really downloading, not the time to process it all. This is the time to download. Right, download, put it aside, and then we will process that later, because so much information can come that you might get completely swamped. So this is another way that this energy can present itself. Very interesting leading up to the Pluto direct motion into the last degrees of Capricorn and what this can mean for our world. I could spend like an hour talking just about this, but because this is a little bit of an overview, and the energy is a little bit all over the place. You can see we have things in Virgo, in Leo, in Libra, in Pisces, in Aries, in Taurus, Capricorn. There, everything needs like an integration. So what's happening here with Pluto? We know Pluto has been squaring the nodes. And this is a time of intense transformation. And the only way we can truly transform is through those power struggles. This is why this is the last pass. This is the last of Pluto in Capricorn, showing us all the dysfunction of the pyramidal structures, all the dysfunction of institutions, all the dirt, all the things that you see in the world that are really not supporting a better chance at having a more fair society. So this is time of intense transformation. This is where a lot of karma can come out also, when we have to choose a new path. This is the time where we're in the square. What happens is that Pluto square in the nodes is like there's a path forward and a path linking us to all the old stuff. So this is where we need to finally, for once and for all, break away from old structures that in our lives are not serving us, and they will show themselves as is. It's like one of my teachers, Pablo Flores, mentioned in one of his videos that this is a time where you have your fridge and you have all those old, foods that are moldy and gross, but you're kind of you still have them in the fridge, and I just want to keep my old moldy food here, and you just don't throw it out. Well, so he says this is the time this month where, if you have not consciously done that, this is a time where life will open your fridge and freaking go out and take all of that out, whether you like it or not. And you're gonna go like, oh, please leave it. Suffering, pain, right? So before life just rips out of you what really is no longer needed in your life, again, a lot of introspection. Once Pluto moves direct, you'll be able to affect the changes, because through the whole retrograde time of Pluto, there was a lot of reviewing about what we need to transform in our lives. It's an inner energy, and now we're going to start really seeing changes in reality. And changes can come in many, many, many forms. And part of it is the social and cultural transformation. And I know this sounds scary to some. I was watching a video today around all the new announcements that Meta did on the new way that we're going to be connecting through AI. And this is like, with the new AI glasses and AI everything. And I was thinking, oh my God, once Pluto moves into Aquarius, all of this is going to go like mega hyper speed, where we're going to see a world where that is here somehow. And it's like, do you remember when you didn't have a phone, a cell phone? No one had one. That was not so long ago. And now everybody has a smartphone in their pockets. And it's an everyday thing, everyday life. So this is almost like, well, brace ourselves, because as all these new announcements with AI, and I know there's so much resistance to this societal change. And again, whether it's good or bad, I'm not here to judge it. I'm just here to say that is one way that the energy of the world will express itself, as major changes in technology and major advances that will, for better or for worse, push us into something completely different that we will be seeing in 2024. And as we see this new announcements, it's like, oh my gosh, yeah. So our job now is to make sure that the changes we're affecting, that we are also co-creators of reality. Part of what not scared me, but yeah, I wouldn't say scared me. Part of what got me thinking about how now nothing is real. Everything is just a creation. Even on the internet now, you can create anything and say anything, create anyone, have an avatar, have your favorite movie star talk to you as an avatar, and things like that is what's coming, and for that, I check out a guy on YouTube that I really like. His name is Matt Wolf. He has a channel called Future Tools. Very interesting. I watch this just to keep on the loop of all these new things that are evolving in our world, because I like technology and things like that. Now, our place in this whole societal change is because now we have the capacity to co-create or create anything. It's no longer about this is real, this is not real. It's about what are you creating? What universe are you existing in? What frequency are you tuning in? And what are you aligning with? This is what will define what level of reality you will be experiencing. Let me say that again. Aligning yourself with a certain frequency is what will define what level of reality you will be experiencing. Let that sink in, because this is what's coming through this forward movement of Pluto. So at a higher level, we can connect to our magnificent inner technology called our body, our energy centers, our capacity to have mental telepathy, to seek information by touching a tree, to listen deeply to the energy, to know ourselves, to feel our body as an interface with other dimensional realities. All of that, dear friends, it's what's coming. You might feel even changes in your body, and these are things that we might experience as we evolve. Changes in our bodies, changes in our perceptions, changes in the way we even communicate with each other. There could be also groups of people gathering and creating a whole new existence based on sovereignty, based on more personal freedom. This is all the themes that have been pushing and pushing since 2020, like a painful birth. But this month, once Pluto moves direct for its final passage in Capricorn, it's like finally all these painful contractions since 2020 seem to have a real opening into something new as this birthing process occurs. And we have been having little births, little breakthroughs, but I feel that the energy of this month can be an immense catalyst for true breakthroughs inside our own psyche, basically. So get busy into looking at these themes, so you can also take responsibility, resolving power imbalances. You see, this is where these things are going to have deep societal implications. How are you in your life managing power? This is one big theme that I have been talking about with Pluto through Capricorn. What is your own relationship to power? And are you empowering yourself to be authentic and inspire others? Or are you still trying to oppress others with your ideas and your desires? Right? This is that integration of this square. And this is where we need to fine-tune the instrument to make sure that the new level of you is really tuned in to a different frequency, disconnected from that old matrix of appearances, the old matrix of the rat race, the old matrix of having to achieve in order to be validated, the old matrix of having to accomplish things that are not necessarily aligned with your energy and your blueprint. That's a big one for a lot of us at this time. Anything that really doesn't support your blueprint, but that you have been doing out of that's what you need to do, well, this is going to be the time where it's going to be blasting. What happens if we don't make those changes? Well, nothing. In reality, what happens is some people just don't evolve past them. So what can happen is you feel very frustrated with life. You see, because you'll see maybe the world around you changing, people changing, stuff changing, and you're just there kind of attaching to old structures and then just being in discomfort and being just frustrated. And with Pluto squaring Mars, frustration is a big topic. And when there's frustration without an outlet, there is anger. And when there is anger without a healthy outlet, there is violence. And when there is violence without a healthy outlet, there could be chaos. You see, so all this is within the October energies. So how are we managing our frustrations is a very important topic as well. So if you feel deeply frustrated in your relationships, deeply frustrated with your job, deeply frustrated with your government, deeply frustrated with your personal situation, seek outlets for that frustration. Seek help. This is also a very good time to seek help from others. In the Libra energy, there is a lot of support from others. This is why we need to leverage the kindness and the group. This is where we can leverage the group for change. Leverage the groups of friends you have. Leverage communities. Leverage support organisms. This is where you can do that if you're really struggling. So that can help you break through, because frustrations can only end up in probably very chaotic situations. Or sometimes you just need that. You just need the complete breakdown, the complete destruction of a part of yourself in order to get it. And that, well, ideally, we would want to avoid that, right? Because under these transits is when crazy people can do crazy things too, out of I'm fed up with being repressed, fed up. And this is where we can see lots of movements and lots of protests, but disruptive ones. So how are you bringing more love to your communities? How are you bringing more support to your friends? How are you bringing more compassion to your own process of maybe painful realizations? Good time for therapy. If you don't know, just find somebody that can hold your hand through a difficult time. Maybe you are in the midst of a terrible breakup and needing to resolve conflicts, and this is good times for mediation. The energy right now, it supports mediation. So what's it going to be, right? Oof, that is a jam-packed energy update. So I'm going to leave it I think I'm just going to leave it here. I know there's also, well, there's a little bit more to this energy. because when Mars enters Scorpio, the energy also changes into a much deeper dive into what's hidden. And we have Saturn trining Mars, which can help a lot with being focused, having discipline, being persistent. So if you have set goals for yourself, this is amazing time to not to just keep at it. This is a good time to be, again, the thing with these aspects, when there can be a lot of volatility, there is also some certain support from your capacity to go, okay, we're not just going to blow everything up. This is when this energy, if we leverage the energy of the Saturn Mars, this can, it's like hold your horses before you explode everything. Be more strategic. Don't just blow up, because it could be so intense this time, and the resistance to this change can be so big that can only be like a recipe for disaster. So just allow yourself to go in the direction that you can resolve conflicts, that there is support, and seek advice, seek mediation if needed. Don't go into fighting. That will be the disastrous outlet. Go into mediation. This is a great time. And you see, the thing is, after this period of time where relationships can be very tense, this is where we can find the deepest connections at the end of this process. Is when we can truly find that we are not at the end of two different ends of needs, is that we are all having similar needs. And during this time, that can help us reconnect back to ourselves, reconnect back to each other, reconnect back, and also like free up heavily karmic loads, even past life issues. And my feeling, again, through this stream of consciousness that I'm giving you today, is that as we do this release, this deep release of stuff, there's going to be an accelerated new feeling of community, of belonging, of seeing that we can do that, whatever is best for everybody is best for us. So, you know, instead of like, oh, communism and all those stuff is horrible or whatever, and I'm just using some terms, it's more like, oh, self-authority with others, when I can express my needs and take into account the benefit of all without having to comply to heavy mandates that are not even supporting of my blueprint. All of that, once we align with those ideas, we realize that there's no need for a new regime. There's not a need for a new ideology. Now, the new communism or the new whatever ism or the new blah blah ism, there is no need for that. If we truly align with the ideas that we are free as sovereign beings that understand our unique function in this world, and that our desire is the good for all, and we do things with love and connect to ourselves with love, not with judgment and criticism and all of that stuff that we heard when we were little, maybe, this world can truly be different. Truly. And this is my hope. And maybe I am in the pipe dream of Neptune, Mercury. But in my pipe dream, this is possible if we really, really, really have love in our hearts for ourselves first and for others. And that's what will create a much better, fairer society. I am talking in very utopian terms, but just let this sink in. If this message has resonated with you, I'm not going to talk about the eclipse. Like I said, eclipse is coming. It's here. Ooh, for next video. Yeah, if this message resonates with you, please pass it along. Please take, if you if you will, take action in those little things I recommended, and just be yourself fully authentically. Oof. This comes from someone who has a lot of difficulty being sometimes authentic in groups because it's scary to be oneself. But this is also for me a lesson in stepping up also to my true power as an authentic human. So please feel free to share, like, subscribe, tap the little bell, all of that good stuff. Check in the description box. There are links to my offerings, my services. There's also, I'll leave the information for the compassionate communication workshop if you're interested and you live in Vancouver Island, and other goodies that you can probably find. And just be at peace. Please be at peace in your relationships. All our relations may be good, please. Leaving this broadcast with a lot of light and love, and I'll see you on the other side.